Hi everyone, I am Jacina Ali with Wealth Solutions Reports. Today we have Sid Yadamandra, the founder and CEO of Entrata, the leading cybersecurity solutions provider for wealth management spaces. Great to see you again, Sid.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Sid, one of the main topics that comes up all the time is between the third and fourth quarter of last year is how is everyone planning to return to work? Are we doing the back in the office Monday through Friday? There's a lot of plans that have been on hold indefinitely. Are you hearing from your clients that serves you well, or what do you think is the next step?
There's a lot of dynamics that are driving this, but I do think organizations have found that during the pandemic, folks have been pretty productive working from home, as long as they're able to sort of balance their work-life situation in a way that works. We're seeing hybrid work becoming the new reality.
Yeah, wealth management is a pretty heavy regulated industry. It's not like we're making sales calls for widget distributors. I mean, when you're dealing with the everyday confidential client database, do you see this increasing with cybersecurity risks with wealth management firms or onboarding and enabling fully remote or even hybrid work for their employees? Or are we still kind of trafficking with confidential client status from their houses?
That's an interesting question, right? So we've seen during the pandemic that there's different kinds of organizations that are at various levels of sort of adoption when it comes to hybrid work. But I do see in the wealth space, because of the access to PII data, a wealth manager is typically accessing 401k accounts, they're accessing their brokerage accounts. If they get compromised, trust with their clients get eroded. And so the burden of risk mitigation and risk management from a cyber standpoint is pretty high on the part of the wealth management firm. And I think, hybrid work environment, those challenges get even more complicated.
So let's talk a little bit about, let's say, a typical independent wealth management firm on either the broker deal or the RIA side of the industry. And let's say they're allowing their financial advisors to work from home. Let's just call it a 2 to 4 day week. What are the best practices? Like if you had any words of advice to offer chief information security offices and those firms, what are the top 3 things that they should be putting into place when it comes to terms of resources, training, practices, just to make sure they're affiliated with financial advisors who are working from home?
The top 3 things we would recommend would be number 1, your cybersecurity hygiene, right? Making sure that all these organizations have a protocol and a regimen when it comes to managing their cybersecurity journey. 2, collecting, a list, doing an asset inventory, looking at what is, how many devices do you use? What are they? What does your network look like? Right? How many people are accessing that network? Creating a mental map of what the IT infrastructure looks like. And then 3rd, best practices of cyber hygiene would be changing passwords routinely, making sure that everyone's got antivirus software up to date, their operating systems, their firewalls are turned on, their disks are encrypted. There's a list of things that you have to follow. And these should all be documented. And this is an area that has become a big issue these days with the SEC sort of and FINRA sort of focusing in on this, is the area of supply chain risk. You now also need to know who are the third-party vendors you're working with and what is their risk. Because a lot of folks think, okay, as long as I protect my devices and I train my people, we're good. And then the rest of it is in the cloud and, we're working with Salesforce and they'll make sure everything is great. Well, that's true. However, if Salesforce gets breached and your data happens to be part of that breach, you're on the hook.
And when you say you're on the hook, do you mean specifically you're on the hook with regulators? It sounds like the regulators would not really care whether it's a third-party vendor or not.
Any risks that your contracted third-party vendors have relative to your data is your risk.
Those are really great points and definitely terrific lessons that we hope here at with wealth management firms and people that are reading Wealth Solutions reports, they take heed of that. As always, Sid, super helpful insight, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to be here.